I'm Caleb Brooks. I'm with the AHSAA Radio Network. I'm at the new Dothan High School, joined by first-year head coach down here, Coach Smitty Grider. And Coach, you've made a lot of moves and kind of been all over the place. And you went, you were in Middle Alabama for a lot of your career, AHSAA, Beauregard. You go to Park Cross, and then you make the move to Hazel Green. You go all the way up to Huntsville, and then now you go all the way down here in the Dothan. Yeah. So you've kind of made a big move these last couple of years. But you're here, you're at this new school, and I told the kids this is a unique situation. I mean, you're combining two schools. They're able to be a part of the first year, and it could have gone one of two ways. I feel like it could have either been really, really bad fights and not getting along, or it could go the way that it's going, where you guys are sitting at 5-2 and playing really good football.
Yeah, that's the biggest question I get is, how's that part going? And to be honest, it's been unbelievable. We haven't had the first issue with the Dothan-Northview rivalry, any of that. And I really had an idea that it might be that way. Both programs had struggled in the last few years, and when kids want to win, and when they can look around at the players that are now on the team and go, you know what, we got a chance to be pretty good. All that'll go out the window, And from day one, it's been Dothan Wolves. The kids have bought in. We've got a coaching staff that's pretty much all new to them. There's a handful, 3 or 4 that were at the old Dothan High School, but other than that, everybody's new, and I think that helped some too with that. And they know that it's not about where you played, what you played, who you were. Now it's the best guys going to play, and it was an open competition, and it's been awesome. The community's been great. They're fired up. They want a winner. They're hungry to win here, and it shows in the kids. The kids just want to win, and so there's been no issues with that.
I was up at Daleville earlier today talking to Coach Lett, and he was a guy that, he took over this year, and he had been there for a few years, and he kind of feels like that probably benefited him. But I feel like you being a new guy coming in and having a new staff has benefited this group because it was a whole new team altogether.
Yes, I agree. There's nobody's been able to say, well, you're just playing him because you coached him, or there's been none of that. So that's been good. The kids have bought in. They bought into what we're doing. They believe in what we're doing. They've seen where we've been in the past and the success we've had, and so they trust us, and that trust is hard to come by with kids these days. And I think you're right that being from the outside was a huge, huge benefit for us.
Kind of take me back to your time at Beauregard, and then all the success that you had there, and as good a job as you did, and won a region championship right there in your last couple of years, and how much did your success at Beauregard really help prepare you for then going and having success at Park Crossing and now coming here and having success?
Well, that was a great experience. Really great people there. Mr. Brown, the principal, who just recently retired, had been there forever. He was good to me, allowed me to hire a staff. I was able to put together a really good staff. The Dr. Nowlin was the superintendent in the middle part there, and when he came in, he really raised the supplements, which helped us hire a good staff and retain people. I don't think I had hardly any turnover on my staff for the last 3 or 4 or 5 years that I was there, and that helped. There were good players there. The community got behind it, and so that was a great experience. And those 8 years of being a head coach and being able to build that program from, they were 2-18 the 2 years before I took the job to, we won 9 to 10 games for 4 years in a row there at the end, and really had a chance to win a state championship in 2012, and to establish ourselves as a dominant program in 4A really kind of set the stage for me to go back. I'd always wanted to coach at a big school, be a head coach at a big school, and to have that opportunity at Park Crossing, absolutely those 8 years prepared me for that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because you'd been at AHSAA, smaller place, then you had gone to Beauregard, Hazel Green, but to have that experience at Park Crossing where you also kind of dealt with a new place, kind of similar to this and all that, that had to really help, and you already pretty much have an experience with that there.
It did, and I, to be honest with you, I coached junior high football for 13 years, and because I started when I was 19 years old in Montgomery, and a lot of those years I was a head football coach of like the 8th grade team, and that's where I really learned how to be a coach, how to manage a team, how to handle kids. And then I left there and went with Coach McCracken to Opelika in 1995. And the football part of my learning curve came then. You know, working for a Hall of Fame guy like Coach McCracken and learning how to work in the off season and how to plan and how to practice we're still practicing right now. Much of it's still the same as the things we did when I was at Opelika with Coach McCracken 20 years ago. And because those things are timeless. And we still do a lot of the same things, especially in the off season and really day to day during the week. So the combination of that and then having that experience at Beauregard where we built a program basically that was down, we rebuilt it and turned it into a dominant program in the classification, and being able to do that absolutely prepared me to go and lead a bigger program.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I'm from that area, so I mean, when I was younger, Beauregard football wasn't thought of as, you know, really, really good. And now you came, you kind of helped turn it around. Coach Carter brings a state championship there, and, you know, really I think your tenure there really helped change what Beauregard, and now they're expected to win. Coach
Carter was my offensive coordinator there, and his staff, that state championship staff was many of the same guys. He built on what we had done and did a great job there, and I'm proud for him. He's a dang good football coach. You know, and one of the things that we had to change there was the culture, the mindset of, you know, those kids weren't proud to be from Beauregard. You know, they didn't wear their gear when they went to the mall or went to the Auburn game. You know, they weren't proud of that, and we had to change that mindset. Hey, let's be proud of where we're from, and you know, wear our school colors and talk about where we're from and be proud of it. And then being able to do that, that experience of how that came about and that culture change really helped when I went to Park Crossing, because now we took two junior kids from junior highs there that had not been successful. That first senior class we had there, I think they won one game in middle school. And we were able to win the region championship and get to the playoffs. And you know, we had to change the mindset the same way, and we had to build that culture of, hey, we're Park Crossing, we're PC, and this is, you know, a new deal here, and it's like there's a new sheriff in town, you know, and change the whole culture of the Montgomery football to where, you know, Carver had been the big dog for years and years and years, and us being able to go down there and beat them in the first year and really change that mindset to where, hey, now, you know, it's a little bit of a change, and Park Crossing is where you want to be, and that kind of thing. And so I think that really comes from that experience of doing that at Beauregard.
And, you know, you're taking some kids. I was talking to, you know, one of your players that came over from Dothan, and he talked about how he hadn't made a playoff since he was in 9th grade, and they hadn't made it that much, you know, just in general. So now kind of taking some kids that haven't had some success, and then you're taking some kids that were from Northview that have had some success and have had some years they haven't had success. How have you seen the combination of those two kind of come together on this team?
The kids from Dothan that are seniors were a fringe part of a team that made the playoffs and got beat in the first round when they were freshmen. And they haven't been back. The kids at Northview that are seniors, from Northview that are seniors, have never made the playoffs. So that's a whole new mindset, and that's an experience that, you know, they've got to learn how, you know, that intensity changes when you get to the playoffs. It's a whole different deal. You take the biggest rival game you have, but that intensity is not the same as those playoff games when there's a finality to it. And so that's a learning curve. And we've been talking about that really after we lost the Park Crossing game. That's kind of been our mindset in our region play is, hey, look, every game we play is a playoff game for us. And we've got to change that intensity and that mindset of going from, hey, we think we can win to expecting to win. And so that's been a process, and I think we're headed in the right direction there. We still got some steps to take. You know, when we take the field, it's got to be that, hey, I don't care if we're playing, you know, University of Alabama, we expect to win the game. From, hey, you know, if we play well, I think we'll win, to believing that we're not going to lose, we're going to win every ball game. And taking kids that have never had that success, you know, they've been 500 a little bit, but never really having that big success, and teaching them that mindset is a process. And I think we're making steps to getting there. We still got a ways to go.
Did you make the schedule for this year? Was it
some of it? Okay. We replaced week 1 was supposed to be Southside Selma, so we replaced that with Clay Chalkwell, and then this week was an open week. They lost the Dothan Northview game. We filled it with Godby out of Tallahassee, who was a semifinal team down there last year. So we added those 2 games. When I took the job, one of the things that I said is we want to play good people. We don't want to play, and this is not a slight towards Southside or any other school around here that's smaller than us. You know, we don't benefit from that. We want to play to get us ready. Being 10-0 isn't the goal. The goal is to win a state championship. So to do that, we've got to prepare ourselves for a playoff run. We got to play good people. We played Hoover in the spring game. We opened up with Clay Chalkville. We played with Wetumpka. We play in Godby. We play a tough schedule, and that's important to prepare us for a 5-week run in the playoffs. And you can't be afraid to play that kind of competition. Now, does it mean it's going to be very hard to go 10-0 and undefeated in a regular season? Yes. But like I said, that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to play 15 games and win the last one. And to do that, I believe you got to play good people. And I want to expose our kids to that. You know, one of the things that you got to do as a coach is market your players to colleges. Well, if you're playing, a team like a really small school or a school that's not very good, then it's hard for you to promote your kids, and people want to come see that. And so we wanted to market our kids. So to do that, we want to let people see them play against the top competition in the state. So that's kind of my mindset with that, and we'll continue to schedule really good non-region teams, and hopefully it'll pay off for us come playoff time.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about, the Clay Chalkville game, kind of how that came out, because that was a cool thing, I think, the charity game and all that went into it, 2 games there at Thompson, and, talk about going to Thompson and getting to see that facility and what they have there, and, when you're at a new place, that's probably what y'all want to be like now.
That's right. That was another part of it. Way it happened, we were looking for a game, and Drew was looking for a game, Coach Gilmer at Clay Chalkville, and we talked about, and neither one of us wanted to travel, and, blah, 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 and Coach Freeman I think he had talked to Clay Chalkville about possibly playing, because he had originally planned to play in that, is it the Kenny Stabler Classic they have in Foley?
Yes, sir.
And he really didn't want to go play he wanted to play at a bigger venue than Foley's home campus, and so he called me and asked if I'd be interested. Hey, why don't they play Davidson and we'll play Clay Chalkville, and Coach Vince Pitts, his AD, they got together and thought about making a benefit game and making it a big deal, and I was all in, man. Great opportunity for our fans to go see those facilities, because obviously we want as nice of facilities as we can get and go see what other people have. And then also the exposure of our kids going to the Birmingham area and playing a team like Clay Chalkville, coming off of 2 or 3 semifinal runs and a state championship 5 years ago, and was a no-brainer for us. And it was a great experience for us. We didn't play particularly well, which was, at the time we were disappointed, but I really think it helped put us where we are now. We fixed some things, and it allowed our kids to play in that kind of setting. They'd never played in a game like that, and that kind of media scrutiny and that kind of team and all that. So it was a great experience for our fans and our players.
And, to play a team this quality of Clay Chalkville, I mean, how much do you think that's going to prepare you for what you were talking about? Playing a big-time game, big-time atmosphere, and a big-time team for playoffs.
Well, that's absolutely the reason we played it, and I think it'll help tremendously. I'm just convinced that to be good in the playoffs, you've got to have been battle-tested. I don't think you can just play a handful of 2 or 3 tough region games and then play 7 games that you're just a dominant team if you're going to be ready, because you've got to play 5 weeks in a row. They're all going to be good people. You're not in 6A. You're not the first round's not a gimme game. We match up with the Mobile region. We're going to get a Blunt, a Saraland, St. Paul, Spanish Fort, or Daphne. It's going to be one of those 5, and so and then the next week's the same. It's just going to be back to back. And to play 5 weeks in a row like that, you got to be mentally tough. And I think playing in that kind of game early in the year will help us. What do we have to lose?
Yeah. No, it's not a region game or anything like that.
Absolutely.
And then, you play Wetumpka the next week, and they come here. You get to open up, big-time atmosphere again against a team that's made 2 straight semifinals. And I think that's where y'all really kind of turned a lot of heads, and people started taking notice when y'all beat Wetumpka. Not only beat them, but the way that you guys beat them.
Yeah, and it started, honestly, with we played tough against Hoover in the spring. And I think people had some high expectations for us, and it kind of started then. But then we played Clay Chalkville, and they beat us pretty handily. We had it close at halftime, and had done some good things, and then they pulled away in the second half. And then for us to come back home and beat Wetumpka and score 50 points on them, yeah, that turned some heads for sure. And to back that up the next week with another big win against Eufaula, who's got a really good football team this year, was really kind of set the stage for where we are now. The loss to Park Crossing was really disappointing. We didn't play well early. It was just like the Clay Chalkville game. We just made a bunch of mistakes early and got so far behind we didn't have a chance to win at the end. But from the beginning of the second quarter to the end of the game, played decent. And so there were some things we could take from that and build on. But those early games were really important in building the culture here, the expectations, the mindset. That was really big for us.
The Park Crossing game, what was that game like for you? To go and play the team that you had been at, it almost got into a state championship. Just what were the emotions like for you to play against them?
Well, it wasn't as tough as it would have been if it had been last year.
Yeah.
But the kids that are seniors there were sophomores my last year, and I knew those kids really well. The juniors were freshmen, and we spent the whole off season working with those kids. Many of the coaches were on my staff there. There was some emotion there for that. But I'll be honest, my focus is on Dothan Wolves, and I didn't want that to be about Smitty Grider coming back and playing Park Crossing. That was about Dothan playing Park Crossing, and it wasn't about the coaches. It was about the players, and they outplayed us, and I was proud for them. A couple of their guys had big nights. Jaden Taylor had a huge night. He's a great kid, and the quarterback, both quarterbacks there are great kids. I'm happy for them to have a game like that. I'm hurting for them right now because they're struggling.
Yeah.
They're having a tough year, but those are some great kids and great coaches up there that and I love playing at Crampton Bowl. That's a great venue.
A nice place.
I enjoyed my 4 years playing there as a coach, and it's a great place to play high school football. So it's always fun to go back. Now we got our tail kicked, so that wasn't very much fun, but it was a great learning experience for us. And I think the way it's worked out in the region, with us now having a chance to still win the region and that game not hurting those chances now, I think it's probably the best thing could have happened to us.
How proud are you of this group also, the fact that y'all have had to travel a long ways for your region games, and that's not easy to do, Park Crossing being one of those. And so, for this group to not only have all this thrown out with all the newness and all that and have to adjust to that, but then have to travel such long ways for all the really away games that they've had to go to. How proud are you of how they've been able to handle that?
Yeah, that's we went to Alabaster. We went to Montgomery, went to Russell County, went to Enterprise. Enterprise is the only close one. That's been a great experience because you're going to have that playoff game where you're going to have to go halfway across the state to play a playoff game. And when I was at Park Crossing, I always tried to schedule a game like that so we would have that experience of getting on a charter bus, having to eat at a restaurant, on the road, and all that to try to prepare us for that trip you're going to get inevitably in the playoffs. So that's been, here we go again with the lights. That was a great learning tool as well.
What does this team do well? When you look at this team, when you watch film every week, what do you really look at and say, man, we do a great job in this area?
Well, we're really good on offense right now. We've got a lot of weapons. And like I told you before we started, we don't have a bunch of D1 guys. There's not a ton of scholarships running around right now. We got some guys that I think are being overlooked, but what we do have, we have a lot of really, really good high school football players. Our offensive linemen are all 5'11". They're about 290 to 300 pounds, good feet, strong athletic kids. We got really good speed in the backfield and at receiver, but we don't have the 6'3", 6'4" guys. And we've got a really good offensive line, and then we're really good at receiver, and we've got two running backs that are probably the best two tandem I've ever had. So we're able to take advantage of what you give us. It's not a case where you can go into the game and say, well, we're going to stop the running game or we're going to stop the passing game, because you're going to have to deal with both. And along with that, we've been really good in our return game. I think we've got 4 or 5 kick returns for touchdowns this year. And that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
When we've got 3 different guys that can do that at any time. So, we're able to steal some yardage and some points off of the kicking game. That's really helped us in some big spots in games. And I think that's our defense is. I said it at the beginning. If our offense will play well early, give our defense, because we're not young, but we're inexperienced, especially in a whole new scheme. Give them time to grow, which they have, and we've played better and better as the years gone, that we'd be pretty good. But I think offensively, we're really good on offense right now, and our special teams, our return game is really good.
You know, you're sitting at 5-2, but being a guy that's looked at it kind of from the outside and just looking at scores and stuff, I don't feel like y'all played your best football yet either.
No, we haven't. I hope we haven't anyway. We played really well at Enterprise, and then we played really well last week against Carver. But after the Enterprise game, what I told the kids, I don't want this to be our peak. You know, this isn't going to be our best game because we still made mistakes and there's still things we can clean up and get better at. And my whole philosophy, and this came from Coach McCracken years ago, is, you know, we just want to get better every week. It's not about winning and losing. It's not about, you know, we don't want to be a up and down. We want to stay on that same, just be better today than we were yesterday, be better this Friday than we were last Friday kind of thing. And if we'll get better every week of the season, then at the end of the year we're going to be in a good place. And that's the goal. And I think so far we've done that. We had an off week last week, so you know, my fear is I don't want to lose that momentum that we've got. We've won 3 in a row, and you know, we've got to play a really good team this week. And you know, the challenge for us is not to take a step back. You know, let's stay on that upward trek of, hey, we're going to be better this Friday than we were the last time we went out. And that's been our goal from the start.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate you.
Thanks for coming by,
here.
man.
Yes, sir.
Hate the lights went out on us here at the end. Maybe they'll be able.
I've had PAs come on, all type of stuff. So I appreciate you letting me come visit your school, and I've been wanting to see this place and see how it has been combining everything, and you guys are going in the right direction for sure this year. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this postseason goes for you guys, and
thank you.
If you guys can make a little run.
Well, that's the goal.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks,
Thank
Caleb.
you.